Alright, you insatiable gluttons for punishment. You want more horror, more sarcasm, and a deeper dive into the fucked up family dynamics of the Bradfords? Buckle up, buttercups. We're about to take a journey so dark, Stephen King would need a nightlight. Picture this. A sweaty blob of disappointment standing in front of a mansion that looks like it was designed by Satan's interior decorator during a bad acid trip. That's me, Peanut Bradford, your friendly neighborhood fuck-up and apparently the latest sacrificial lamb in a long line of cursed idiots. The Myrtles plantation loomed before me, its white columns gleaming in the Louisiana sun like the teeth of a predator waiting to devour its prey. The air was thick with humidity and the sickly sweet scent of magnolias, mixed with something darker, something that smelled suspiciously like regret and broken dreams. As I dragged my sorry ass up to the door, each step feeling like I was wading through molasses made of pure, distilled dread, the porch boards creaked and groaned under my feet. Was it my imagination? Or did they sound like they were whispering my name? Peanut, Peanut, we've been waiting for you. You bald bastard. I reached for the doorknob, its brass surface warm to the touch, almost alive. As my fingers closed around it, I swear I felt a pulse. Great. Even the fucking door furniture is more lively than my love life. Hey, don't give me that look, you sadistic voyeurs. You're the ones who decided to tag along on this fucked up ride. Grab your adult diapers and a bottle of the strongest whiskey you can find, kiddos. You're gonna need both. And maybe an exorcist on speed dial. I stepped inside, and holy mother of fuck. It was like walking into a museum of nightmares curated by Stephen King's evil twin after a weekend bender with Lovecraft and a gallon of absinthe. The foyer was a masterpiece of Victorian excess, all dark wood and heavy draperies. But there was something off about it, like each piece of furniture was slightly out of alignment with reality. Or maybe that was just my sanity slipping. Hard to tell at this point. A Barbie doll reject named Becky bounced up to me, grinning like she'd just won a lifetime supply of Prozac and was planning to take it all at once. "Welcome home, Cousin Peanut," she chirped, her voice as sweet as antifreeze and twice as toxic. Wait, what? Cousin? Home? Before I could process that genealogical bombshell, Becky started vomiting historical facts faster than a freshman at their first keg party. The Myrtles was built in 1796 by General David Bradford, she said, her eyes never blinking. Did she even need to blink? Was she even human? Did you know, Peanut, that at least 10 people were brutally killed here? Her smile widened impossibly. All from our family line, of course. It's a Bradford tradition, like alcoholism and poor life choices. Christ on a cracker dipped in holy water. What kind of hellhole did I just walk into? And more importantly, what the fuck did my ancestors do to deserve this? Kick a puppy? Steal candy from a baby? Vote for the wrong lizard person? As Becky rambled on about the joys of familial murder, I caught a glimpse of something in one of the ornate mirrors lining the hall. A face, twisted in agony, its mouth open in a silent scream. It looked familiar, like looking at an old family photo album from hell. If hell had a twisted sense of humor and a penchant for bad haircuts. The face vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving me to wonder if I'd imagined it. But the chill that ran down my spine, that was all too real. Welcome home, indeed. Home sweet fucking home. Night fell like a funeral shroud over the plantation, bringing with it a silence so profound it made my ears ring. I found myself in a bedroom that looked like it was decorated by the unholy love child of Edgar Allan Poe and Martha Stewart, with a dash of Lovecraft for spice and a sprinkle of what the actual fuck for good measure. As I tried to sleep, the whispers started. At first, just at the edge of hearing, like the rustle of dead leaves or the sound of my last shred of sanity trying to escape. But they grew louder, more insistent, slithering into my ear like a venomous snake at a family picnic. "Welcome home, little Bradford," it hissed, its voice colder than a witch's tit in a brass bra on the coldest day in hell. "We've been waiting for you. Hope you brought enough emotional baggage for the whole family." I bolted upright, my heart doing the cha-cha-cha in my chest like it was auditioning for Dancing with the Damned. And that's when I saw them, the ghosts of Bradford's past, each one more fucked up than the last. Great-Grandpa Joe materialized first, his spectral form flickering like a bad TV signal. "I tried to run," he said, his voice filled with regret. "Thought I could outrun the curse. But it always finds you, boy. Always. Just like that loan shark I owed money to back in 32. Cousin Eddie popped up next, his eyes wild with the madness that had claimed him in life. "I thought I could outsmart it," he cackled. "Make a deal with the devil to void the original contract. Turns out, the devil don't play fair. Who knew, right? Oh, and watch out for the silverware. It bites." One by one, they shared their stories, tales of attempted escape, of bargains gone wrong, of lives lived in fear and desperation. Each one had tried to break the cycle in their own way, and each had failed spectacularly. It was like a greatest hits album of fuck-ups, and I was the latest track. My father was the last to appear, his form the weakest of them all. "I'm sorry, son," he said, his voice barely audible. "I thought if I left, if I cut all ties, you'd be free. I was wrong. So wrong. Also, I may have maxed out your credit cards before I disappeared. My bad." I felt a surge of anger, of betrayal, but also of understanding. We were all victims of this curse, all players in a game we never asked to join. It was like being drafted into the world's shittiest sports team, where the only prize was eternal damnation. "So what do I do?" I asked, my voice shaking. "How do I fix this clusterfuck of a family legacy?" The ghosts exchanged looks, centuries of shared misery passing between them. Finally, Great-Grandpa Joe spoke up. "You gotta face the darkness, boy. Confront the shadow of your family's past and your own demons. It ain't gonna be pretty, but neither are you, so you should feel right at home." I swallowed hard, the weight of their expectations pressing down on me. I was the last hope for my family, the one who could finally break the cycle of torment. But at what cost? And more importantly, was there a gift receipt if I decided I didn't want this particular family heirloom? The darkness enveloped me, thick and oppressive, like trying to swim through a pool of molasses. I found myself in a vast chamber that looked like it was designed by MC Escher on a bad mushroom trip. The walls were lined with mirrors, each one reflecting a different version of me. The failures, the regrets, the pain, but also the strength, the resilience, and the determination to break free. And, of course, my receding hairline from every possible angle. Thanks for that, universe. In the center of the room stood a figure cloaked in shadow, its face a swirling void. When it spoke, its voice was a cacophony of every Bradford who had come before me, with a dash of that one really annoying telemarketer who always calls during dinner. "So, you think you can break the cycle?" it hissed, its voice echoing through the chamber. "You think you're stronger than all those who came before you? Newsflash, buddy. You're not exactly working with premium genetic material here." I stood my ground, feeling the strength of my ancestors behind me. Or maybe that was just gas. Hard to tell in these high-stress situations. "I'm not stronger," I replied. "I'm just tired. Tired of running. Tired of fear. I'm ready to face whatever you've got. Hit me with your best shot, you discount dementor." The figure laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spine and made me seriously reconsider my life choices. "Oh, Peanut. Sweet, foolish Peanut. Why fight it? Embrace the darkness. Let it fill you, empower you. You could have everything you've ever wanted." As it spoke, the mirrors around me began to change. I saw myself, successful and wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. I saw a version of me that had never known failure or rejection. I saw power, influence, respect. I even saw a full head of hair, which was honestly the most tempting part of the whole deal. For a moment, I felt the pull, the temptation to give in, to accept what was being offered. Isn't that what I'd always wanted? To be more than just a fuck-up? But then I remembered. I remembered Becky's centuries of regret, Cousin Eddie's madness, my father's shame. I remembered the faces of every Bradford who had been trapped by this curse, and I realized something. We were all fuck-ups in our own special ways, but we were family, and family sticks together, even if it's just to share in the misery. "No," I said, my voice growing stronger with each word. "I don't want what you're offering. I want freedom for myself and for my family. and maybe a decent hair transplant, but I'll settle for the freedom thing." The figure snarled, its form growing larger, more menacing. "You fool. You would throw away everything? For what? A family that abandoned you? A legacy of failure?" I stood tall, feeling a power growing within me. Not the seductive pull of darkness, but something warmer, brighter. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm claiming what's mine. My life, my choices, my family. Fucked up as we are. We might be a dumpster fire, but we're our dumpster fire, damn it." With each word, I felt stronger. The darkness around me began to recede, the mirrors cracking one by one. "You think you can defeat me?" the figure roared, lunging towards me with claws outstretched. I didn't flinch. Instead, I opened my arms wide. "I'm not here to defeat you. I'm here to accept you. You're part of me, part of my family, but you don't control us anymore. We're taking back the narrative, baby. This is our story now, and we're rewriting the ending." As I spoke these words, a blinding light erupted from within me. The figure screamed, its form dissolving into wisps of shadow. The mirrors shattered, releasing centuries of trapped souls and probably cursing me with about 700 years of bad luck. But hey, what's a little more misfortune in the grand scheme of things? When the light faded, I found myself back in the parlor of the Myrtles plantation. But it was different now. Lighter, somehow. The oppressive weight that had hung over the place was gone, replaced by something that felt suspiciously like hope. Around me stood my family, not as ghosts, but as people. Solid, real, free. Becky was there, tears streaming down her face. Cousin Eddie was giggling in the corner, but it seemed more good-natured than maniacal this time. My father stepped forward, his eyes filled with a mixture of pride and regret. "You did it, son," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "You broke the cycle. Also, I may have borrowed your car to make a quick getaway. Sorry about the dent, and the police chase, and the fact that it's now at the bottom of the Mississippi River." I looked around at my family, feeling a sense of peace I'd never known before. "No," I said, "we did it. All of us, together. We're the Bradfords. We might be cursed, we might be crazy, but damn it, we're family. And now, we're free." Years passed. Decades. The Myrtles plantation still stood, a silent sentinel on the edge of St. Francisville. From the outside, it looked much the same. The white columns gleaming in the Louisiana sun, the ancient oaks draped with Spanish moss. But appearances can be deceiving. Oh, it was still haunted as fuck. Don't get me wrong, but the malevolence was gone, replaced by something else. Something hopeful and slightly sarcastic. I'd learned a lot in my time as the new guardian of the Myrtles. How to channel the energy of the house, bending it to my will. How to help lost souls find peace, guiding them to whatever came next. How to make one hell of a spectral martini. Turns out, ectoplasm makes a great mixer. Who knew? Becky stuck around, her eternal perkiness now tempered with wisdom and a healthy dose of cynicism. She became my right-hand woman, helping newcomers navigate their family issues with a mix of Southern charm and centuries of experience. "You think your mama's overbearing," she'd say. "Try having her haunt your every move for 200 years. Now that's a helicopter parent." Cousin Eddie found his calling as our resident prankster. Turns out, being slightly unhinged is a great quality in a ghost. He particularly enjoyed messing with the ghost hunting TV shows that came through. Nothing like a well-placed spectral whoopee cushion to really add production value to those paranormal investigations. My father? He stuck around too, making up for lost time. Turns out, the afterlife is a great place for father-son bonding, especially when neither of you can storm off in a huff because you're both tied to the same haunted house. Visitors still came, drawn by the promise of ghostly encounters, and they got them, all right. But instead of terror, they found catharsis. The house had become a place of healing, where people confronted their own demons and family traumas, with a side of ghostly hijinks, of course. We're therapists, not saints. I remember one night, a young woman came stumbling in, her eyes wild with fear and something else, recognition. Turns out, she was a distant Bradford cousin, drawn here by the same forces that had plagued our family for generations. I don't know why I'm here, she stammered, her voice shaking, but I feel like I need to be. I smiled, feeling the familiar pull of family, of destiny. Welcome home, kiddo. We've got a lot to talk about. First lesson, never trust a mirror in this house. They're judgmental little shits. Over a cup of my special brew, don't ask about the ingredients, trust me. I told her our family's story. The triumphs, the tragedies, the curse that had haunted us for generations. But also the strength, the resilience, the stubborn Bradford spirit that had seen us through. As for me, I was still here, still fat, still bald, still sarcastic as hell. But I was also something more. I was the guardian, the protector, the ghostly therapist of the Myrtles plantation. And damn if I wasn't good at my job. To all you future visitors, come on down. Face your fears. Confront your family drama. Have a laugh in the face of death. And if you hear someone shouting profanities at the ghosts, or see a translucent fat guy floating through the walls, don't worry. That's just old Peanut, doing his part to make the afterlife a little more interesting. Remember, folks, sometimes the only way to break a curse is to embrace it, to find the gift hidden within the burden. It ain't easy, but nothing worth doing ever is. And hey, if all else fails, there's always the bar. Turns out, spirits mix well with spirits, if you know what I mean. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a haunted house to run and some lost souls to counsel. The Bradford Family Redemption Tour is in full swing, and we've got an eternity to get it right. As the seasons changed, so did the energy of the Myrtles. The air grew crisp in autumn, the leaves turning fiery shades of red and gold, a stark contrast to the dark history that clung to the plantation like a stubborn stain. Visitors came in droves, eager to experience the haunted charm of the place, unaware that they were stepping into a living tapestry of family trauma and redemption. One particularly stormy night, the wind howled outside, rattling the windows like a banshee on a caffeine high. I was in the parlor, recounting our family's tale to a group of curious tourists. Their eyes were wide, some clutching each other in fear, while others were busy filming the whole thing on their phones, probably for TikTok or some other nonsense. Now, if you look closely at that mirror, I said, gesturing dramatically, you might just see the face of Great-Grandpa Joe, who sold his soul for a bottle of whiskey and a promise of prosperity. Spoiler alert, he got neither. The group laughed nervously, and I could feel the tension in the room ease just a bit. I continued, and if you listen closely, you might hear the whispers of Cousin Eddie, who thought he could outsmart the curse by becoming a ghost hunter. Let's just say he's still here, and he's not a fan of the current ghost hunting reality shows. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, sending everyone jumping out of their seats. I grinned. That's just the spirits getting a little rowdy. Don't worry, they only throw things at the people they like. As I made my way to the kitchen, I felt a familiar presence beside me. Chloe appeared, her ethereal form shimmering in the dim light. "You're doing well, Peanut," she said, her voice softer than I remembered. "The house has changed since you broke the cycle. It's healing." "Yeah, well, it's a work in progress," I replied, glancing back at the tourists. "But it's nice to know I'm not just a glorified tour guide in a haunted house. I'm part of something bigger now." Chloe smiled, a genuine warmth radiating from her. "You've given the Bradfords a chance at redemption. But remember, Peanut, the darkness never truly goes away. It just waits for the right moment to strike." I nodded, the weight of her words settling in my gut. "I know, but I'm ready for it. I've got a family now, and I'll protect them, living or dead." As the sun rose the next morning, casting golden rays across the plantation, I stood on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the world wake up. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of dew-soaked earth and the promise of a new day. I turned to see a familiar figure approaching, a young woman with wild, curly hair and a determined look in her eyes. It was my distant cousin, the one I had welcomed into the fold months ago. She had embraced her own family history, ready to confront her demons and reclaim her legacy. "Hey, Peanut," she called out, waving. "I've been thinking about starting a ghost tour of my own. You know, to share our family's story with others." I chuckled, shaking my head. Just remember, it's not all fun and games. This place has teeth, and it bites. You sure you want to dive into the deep end of the Bradford pool? She grinned, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Absolutely. I want to help others find their way, just like you did for me. Plus, I've got a few ghost stories of my own to tell. As she joined me on the porch, I felt a swell of pride. The legacy of the Bradfords was no longer a curse. It was a story of resilience, of facing the darkness and coming out stronger on the other side. All right, let's do this, I said, raising my coffee cup in a toast. To the Bradford family past, present, and future. May we haunt the living and help the dead find peace. And with that, we stood together on the porch of the Myrtles plantation, ready to face whatever came next, armed with laughter, love, and a healthy dose of sarcasm. So, if you ever find yourself in St. Francisville, Louisiana, and you hear whispers in the wind or feel a chill run down your spine, don't be afraid. It's just the Bradfords, welcoming you home. And if you see a fat, bald guy floating through the walls, don't worry. That's just old Peanut, doing his part to make the afterlife a little more interesting. Remember, folks, sometimes the only way to break a curse is to embrace it, to find the gift hidden within the burden. It ain't easy, but nothing worth doing ever is. And if you happen to stumble upon a ghostly gathering in the parlor, don't be alarmed. It's just the Bradfords, sharing a drink and a laugh, working through our issues like the dysfunctional family we all are. Welcome home. The light's always on for you here. And who knows, maybe you've got a little Bradford in you too. There's only one way to find out. See you soon, folks. The ghosts and I will be waiting.